Hi, I am SENTHIL and welcome to my channel. What can I do for you today? What? Summer's coming to an end and you still want to smell like a sexual deviant? Well, then smash the like button. Top 10 sexiest designer colognes for men, Fall 2021. Number 10. Jazz Club by Maison Margiela. It's supposed to smell like the inside of a jazz club, but it actually smells like the inside of the mouth of a rum-drinking, chain-smoking stockbroker after a particularly bad day at the office. The fragrance equivalent of a down-on-his-luck gambler in a smoke-ridden casino who's just too drunk to know when to call it a night. We've all been there. Don't say you haven't! And just in case this somehow got lost in translation, Jazz Club is a boozy, ashy, eminently sexy fragrance that will make you feel like a man, and will make women want to do bad things to you. But there's no such thing as a free lunch. And in this case, the downside is the performance, which isn't the greatest. But on the plus side, you don't seem to have that same problem. Have you been eating oysters again? Number 9. Armani Code Absolu. If I told you that you could smell like a chocolatey version of Le Mal by Jean-Paul Gaultier, you'd probably look at me and say, you're wrong and you're a grotesquely ugly freak. If you get that reference, then maybe you and I could have been friends. Oh, friends. And though I may be a grotesquely ugly freak, I do in fact have a point. Because when it dries down, that's exactly what Armani Code Absolu reminds me of. Longevity is good and projection is moderate. It's certainly not a screamer. But it leaves just enough of a trail to lasso around your date's nostrils and make her want to come in for a closer inspection. If you catch my drift? Eh? Eh? Number 8. The One Eau de Parfum by Dolce & Gabbana. The seductive, ambery nectar of the gods. SENTHIL, have you been a good boy? No. The performance is seemingly all over the place with this one. Some find it lasts the course, others burn through it as efficiently as I chew through my popcorn in the cinema before the trailers have even begun. If you can relate, leave a comment. The one E.D.P is so inviting and inoffensive, your date's defences will practically dissolve on contact with air. In fact, ladies are so in love with this scent that you practically become an afterthought, a bystander, a sideshow to your own date, as she revels in the glory of this timeless DNA like a kitten voraciously rubbing up against your shins when you're about to feed it. It's not you she wants, it's the fragrance, but if she has to go through you to get to it, then it's a price she's willing to pay. Number 7. Le Mal Le Parfum by Jean-Paul Gaultier. A much welcome overhaul to the once great, but long past its prime legend of the designer fragrance world. Well, technically it's not an overhaul, it's a flanker to Le Mal. But contained within this composition, there lies a faint but distinguishable blueprint of the original formulation. The aging DNA is muted and observes from the back of the room like an old martial arts instructor, looking on proudly as the next generation of students flourishes and evolves the art form he once taught them before his very eyes. The mint note from the original is nowhere to be seen, and instead you have spicy cardamom and vanillic warmth intermingling with the characteristic lavender we both know and love from the original. And it all adds up to something undeniably sexy in nature. The girls seem to go pretty wild for this one. It simmers down to a skin scent pretty quickly, so to me that makes for an ideal date fragrance, and I'll go into why in more detail at the end of the video, so if you'd like to find out, stick around until the end. On the other hand, if you do want a fragrance that projects like it's going out of fashion, then this next one might be right up your street. Number 6. Spicebomb Extreme by Viktor and Rolf. An explosive assortment of spices with tobacco and lavender that pulls off the contradiction of being both exceedingly smooth while popping with texture. As long as the weather's on the cooler side, there's nothing that this fragrance can't do. It will do your taxes, cook your meals, it will even find you a girlfriend. You're right. Sillage is practically in the next room, and there's definitely no complaints about battery life here. A single charge should safely get you through a whole day. Simply put, Spicebomb Extreme is a tour de force of a designer cologne with absolutely no weaknesses. Load this frag grenade into your arsenal. I think I got the black lung, Pop. Name the movie. I've sniffed things you people wouldn't believe. Algorithm on fire of smashing the like button. I've watched subscribes, forgetting to click the notification bell. All those subscribes will be lost in time, like tears in rain. Time to subscribe. Number 5. Fahrenheit Le Parfum by Dior. Suede and violet leaf on a rampaging bar crawl. A moral blank of a fragrance that reeks of a degeneracy and a sexual deviance that leaves a trail of broken hearts and hurt feelings in its wake. It's a bit of a polarizing cologne for the simple reason that most guys don't even feel like they're made of the right stuff to even pull it off. It has a kind of built-in audacity that's all very love me, hate me, but don't you dare ignore me. This is the scent you wear when you want to be a woman's indiscretion. The kind of behind closed doors activities that she'll never utter a word of to anyone, but she'll think of fondly on those days when she's bored at the office waiting for the clock to hit 5. Animal magnetism in a bottle. Number 4. Tobacco Vanille by Tom Ford. Smells like French pastries fresh out of the oven, slathered in the stickiest sugar and cinnamon glazed, and served by your chain-smoking Uncle Barry dressed in a Santa costume. Some say it smells like Christmas. Well, to me, Christmas smells like a PlayStation controller and my mum's lamb biryani. So I guess the jury's still out on that one. Projection is strong for the first couple of hours, and then it gradually finds a home closer to your skin. I can't think of anything worse. Anyway, the very best of Tom Ford. Number 3. CH Men Privé by Carolina Herrera. A tough, blackened heart of whiskey and leather, guarding a sensitive soul of grapefruit and tonka bean. When I spray it on myself, I know that I just catapulted my sex appeal from a measly 6 to at least a rip-roaring 6.3 out of 10. What? You think I'm a 4? Come closer to the screen and say that to my face. I want you to. What was I even talking about? Oh yeah, CH Men Privé. It's the quintessential bad boy cologne. And just like a bad boy, it will love you and leave you quicker than you can say la la li la lom. Its inability to go the distance is a known quantity by this point. One can but dream of a day when Carolina Herrera decide to come to their senses and release a Parfum version. We don't always get what we want in life. Speaking of which, you may be feeling a little disappointed, maybe even a little sad, that we've come this far together in this video and still no sign of your favourite Dior Sauvage. Well, you can stop crying now, because I'm about to give you the confirmation bias you so badly crave. Well, in a manner of speaking. Number 2. Sauvage Elixir by Dior. Last year, in just my second fragrance video, I told you don't wear Dior Sauvage or Bleu de Chanel for being way too popular. And since then, every notable fragrance or male lifestyle channel has at some point piggybacked that sentiment, because it's kind of hard to argue with the logic that wearing the same fragrance that everyone else is wearing kind of defeats the object. So now it gives me great pleasure to actually be able to recommend a Dior Sauvage to you. And I mean highly recommend. The new Elixir is deeper, darker, more adult, and frankly more unapologetic than any Dior Sauvage that came before it. Amber and lavender form a base for an emphatic, juicy grapefruit note that you can practically taste on your tongue from the moment you spray it on your rancid skin. Or maybe that's just me. Whereas the original Dior Sauvage Eau de Toilette performs like an over-caffeinated child, whining and screaming for mummy, the Elixir performs like a controlled nuclear explosion, a dense mushroom cloud forming around you, and the fallout lingering long after the initial blast. Once it hits its cruising speed after about 40 or 50 minutes in, it stays more or less exactly as it is in very linear fashion for an insane amount of time. And in case you didn't already know this, that linear aspect which you typically get with designer colognes is one of the key attributes that distinguishes it from the majority of niche colognes. Where you'd ordinarily expect a fragrance to go through puberty, adolescence, middle age, and ultimately wither away and die over the course of a wear to keep things interesting. Pretentious stuff, isn't it? But when it comes down to it, Dior Sauvage Elixir is just an utterly wearable designer cologne that's as monumentally powerful as it is sexy. To put it another way, you don't wear Sauvage Elixir, it wears you. And here we find ourselves with only one fragrance left to go. But what could it be? Any guesses? No? Okay, well I'll tell you what it is then. Number 1. Tuxedo by Yves Saint Laurent. Dior Fahrenheit with the depravity thrown out and a little CH Men Privé thrown in. And just on the basis of that description alone, it sells itself. But as I said earlier in the video, there's no such thing as a free lunch. Tuxedo does last quite a while, but don't expect much, if anything, in the way of projection. This is a skin scent through and through. But it hits all the right notes, to the extent where you could call this a symphony of sex appeal. And if you're worried about the complete and utter lack of projection with Tuxedo, then don't be. And here's why. Socially speaking, fragrances should be nothing more than a sexy surprise whenever someone who's interested enough in you to invade your personal space, invades your personal space. I don't want to smell anybody from a few feet away. I don't care how good they smell. I don't want to know about it unless they're literally brushing up against me. A scent that sits closer to the skin is far more inviting, more intriguing, more personal than a cologne that constantly screams and launches itself at its targets from across the room. So don't go thinking that every single cologne you buy has to project like a monster to get your money's worth. It doesn't. Horses for courses. And coming back to the case in point, Tuxedo, which is a cologne that stays very close to the skin, I like it, but at the same time, it's not one of my absolute favorites to wear. But if you've ever tested it out on the sexual battlefield, then it becomes increasingly hard to deny the fact that YSL Tuxedo has arguably the sickest ladies' reactions of all men's designer colognes. I challenge you to name a sexier designer fragrance for men in the comments down below. Good luck. And that about wraps this one up. I'd really like to spend more time with you, but unfortunately I have to go and wash my hair. So close this window and go fuck wings! Don't forget to hit subscribe and smash the like button. I am SENTHIL and thank you very much for watching. And remember, accept the things you can't change and change the things you can't accept. See you next time.